All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Fardulis, and first of all, thank you for being here tonight. We certainly know that we all have a lot going on in our lives, busy schedules, jobs, kids, responsibilities at night, during the day. And so the fact that you have marked out tonight as something that's important to you and you made the time to be here, it says a lot about who you are and what your intentions and what your priorities are. So none of us would be here if we weren't looking for betterment or improvement inside of our lives. Can we agree with that?
Yes.
Perfect. So this evening, here's what you can expect. You can expect that you're going to grow a little bit tonight. You can expect to, if you just have an open mind, you're going to see a world of possibilities. You're going to see some hope for yourself to improve any number of areas inside your life. Here's what I can tell you. About 5 years ago, my wife and I, including our entire family, we needed some hope. We had some things going on that were not smooth. They weren't opportune. And we certainly weren't where we imagined we would be after being married for about 17 years of our lives. We went through a pretty difficult circumstance, and I believe in vulnerability, so I'm going to just open up a little bit tonight and let you see that even beyond the success story, that everybody has an origination point, a place that they came from, a place that they started. And all I want you to imagine is that none of us are impressed with the fact that people have great lives. What we're impressed with is the journey from where you are to having the great life. Because in there, embedded in that story, is an example of what's possible for you to overcome. So if you think about the challenges that you have in your life right now, any obstacles, any things that are holding you back or preventing you from having the very, very best life possible, embedded in everybody's story is an example of how you can overcome about anything. If you're going through it, somebody else has already gone through it too. If you've imagined that it's possible, it's been a reality for somebody else. So all I'm saying is tonight is about hope. And I want you to open your minds, sit back and relax, and think about the world of possibilities that are awaiting you if you start to give yourself permission. And permission is an extremely powerful word. It's something that all of us have to do. And until we give ourselves permission, then we're not going to act on anything. We're not going to change anything. We're not going to do one thing differently because we all slip into what we call a comfort zone. And it's easy to go through life being totally comfortable. Sometimes we get used to problems so well that unless we have a problem, then we don't think it's normal. And some people like to create chaos. If it doesn't exist, you'll generate it because you're more comfortable living inside of chaos. Does this make sense to anybody besides me?
Yes.
Perfect. So now I want you to imagine, what would life look like if you had less chaos? What would life look like for you if you had a little bit less stress? Let me give you some examples of that. Can you imagine that a lot of people have stress? We could use the examples of financial related. What if you didn't have as much stress related to finances? Can you imagine that some people have stress in their lives related based on relationships? It could be a marriage, it could be a significant other, it could be really good friends, it could be work associates. There are so many examples that we've all gone through where people have stressful circumstances with relationships. Imagine that you had fewer of those. Not because there aren't other people out there that want to present themselves as a problem in your life, but we suddenly start to realize that the solution doesn't lie in other people, it lies inside of ourselves. And so rather than thinking that everybody else is going to change, why don't we start expecting more out of ourselves and we become the change? Because the better you get, you'll start attracting better people around you, and you'll notice that suddenly your life has dramatically improved because you took the first step. So we're going to give you an example of how to do that this evening. What about some other examples that we could talk about? Anybody imagine or have a circumstance in their life or know somebody that's going through challenges related to health, physical health, emotional health, mental health, physical health, financial health? Those things are all related. And so we're going to talk about that tonight from the standpoint of options and choices, which once again, it'll all come down to you being willing to make new decisions for yourself. So once again, when we go through this overview over my left-hand shoulder tonight, you're going to see a story that talks about who we are as Longevity. That's our company. We're going to talk about how that impacts you, who we are, what we do, how we do it, and what's in it for you that can allow you to experience the greatness waiting for you inside of your life. And understand, there are a lot of options and choices that we all have that have nothing to do with longevity. But I want you to open your mind and ask yourself a question. If those opportunities were so abundant and on every street corner, so to speak, and they were that simple, don't you think that everybody would already be engaged in a solution? and we'd see more people with fewer problems. And instead, we see an incredible number of people that are stressed out, that are looking for that solution. And when they pray at night, they're looking for that solution through somebody else. And it's up to us to recognize ourselves to be the solution and not be afraid to step up and step out and offer somebody around us a hand up versus a hand out. So I hope that makes sense to people. And if you have questions, we'll take those at the very end. So as you're going through and you're gathering this information with your notepads, with your cell phones, jot down your questions. If you're online tonight, by the way, if you are tuning in online, I saw there's people on here from New Zealand. There are people on here from all over the country and perhaps more that have tuned in since we got started. But I want to say a special welcome and thank you to all of you. We've got a wonderful group of people that are here tonight from multiple states around us. We just had some people walk in the back door from 5 hours north of here, all the way from Wyoming. They made the trip all the way down here because what we do here on Wednesday nights is so powerful that they're not about to miss it. Is that correct? Excellent. Thank you for being here. That's fantastic. So what I want to do right now is I want to introduce you to a really good friend of mine. This is somebody that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Here's why. This gentleman is 25 years old. I've known him for about 10 years of his life. And we've been going to church together for about that long. But in the course of the time that I've known this incredible gentleman as a teenager and growing up to be an amazing man that has led a lot of people, one thing has been a priority to him, his journey thus far. And it's been personal growth, self and professional development. And the reason why that's been important to him is I've talked to him and I've interviewed him and I've asked him why this is important. Is he doesn't want to be mediocre. The world is filled with mediocrity. And he wants to be a great person. He wants to be an influential person. He wants to use his influence to change people's lives in as many ways as possible. And he was looking for that vehicle to be able to do that. But more importantly than the vehicle, he was looking for the leadership and the mentorship that he could connect himself to, because no one person is great by themselves. If you've ever taken note of that, no person is great by themselves. We are all potentially great people because of the influence that we surround ourselves with. He's done a phenomenal job of surrounding himself with incredible people that have impacted his life. He's plugged into as much training as he possibly can. He's attended, he's participated, he's led, he has set big goals and priorities for himself. One thing that's really important to him that you'll get to know him for is that he takes his physical health very seriously. And the way he demonstrates that, being a godly person, is he honors himself. He puts the right kinds of foods into his body. He pays very close attention to the nutrition that he intakes. He wants a healthy mind. He wants a healthy body. He wants that to be reflected on the outside. And through that, Joel Molly has been able to enroll into a national fitness contest, a national fitness competition called Men's Physique. That's the category. So this isn't about how big you can get. This is about how defined of a body that you can have naturally through doing simple things. And he competed on the national stage and he took 7th in a national competitions for men's physique. And if it says nothing else, what it says about Joel is he has discipline and he knows how to be consistent. He knows how to be on time. He knows how to do what it takes to get the result. And he's taken that type of focus and that type of intensity and he's parlayed that into the business world. And as a result of taking that type of focus into his relationships and into the business world and using the same principles, he's been able to build and develop and grow an incredible organization. And now when he speaks for longevity and he gets in front of the room, you'll hear his humility, but he's super fun to listen to. He talks about nerding out all the time. He loves to talk about nutrition. He loves to talk about improving people's lives in any number of ways. But we have the privilege of having here locally. I never want any of you to take him for granted, as it's so easy to do. You know, the saying is it's hard to be a prophet in your own hometown. So when you have people in your backyard like we do, Joel, it's easy to take him for granted. So for those of you that are tuning in online from wherever you are, just consider it a privilege to anytime be able to hear what he has to say and what he has to share, because his example is fantastic and the results that he's obtained are to be noted of. So without further ado, I'd love for you to meet my good friend, Joel Molly.
Thank you. Speak about privilege to be talked about by that man, the way he just talked about me, man, my heart is racing and I've got like butterflies. Woo! That's a big deal. So super grateful for you, Scott and Juliette. You two have had a huge impact on my life. And, you know, the reason I'm standing up here is because of those two. And it's nothing, you know, that I've done, but it's just the fact that I've decided to put my feet where their feet have already gone. And, you know, great things happen when you follow great leaders and do what they do. So I love you both. Two of the most genuine, humble, amazing, down-to-earth people I've ever met. And you guys watching online, if you've got a chance to meet them, you know that. And those of you in the room, you all know that. And if you haven't got a chance to meet them, you'll figure that out. So some of the most successful people I know, and here they are, willing to spend time with me, spend time with us, and just pour into us. And they could be anywhere in the world right now. And they just got back from Punta Cana. So was that trip awesome? Or was that awesome? Yeah. Yep. So who else was on that trip? Anybody else? No? Okay. You guys online? Awesome. Well, next year we're going to be in Cancun together, and I can't wait to pick you guys' brains and hang around with those people. It's going to be amazing. So this whole thing is it's amazing. And Scott talked about the body. It's like a temple, right? The body is the temple, and a lot of people say, they have a soul, or so and so has a soul, but that's not true. I think you are a soul and you have a body, right? So longevity is about taking care of your mind, body, and soul. How cool is that? So it's the whole package, right? So a lot of times when you get transformation, you first transform your mind, and then the body transformation comes, right? You first transform your soul, and then the body transformation comes. So what's cool is I'm going to talk a little bit about this health thing, but in reality, health is all of those things, right? And that's what I love about this. So here I am, I'm a millennial. And who else is a millennial? You guys are millennials. Yeah, okay, yeah. And then we have wannabe millennials in the room too. No offense. Yeah, so millennials are actually the largest population now in the US. It might be worldwide too, but I know we surpassed the baby boomers in the US. And this is important because we, first of all, we're all in student loan debt, which is not fun. I met a guy today who, in the locker room at the gym actually, this guy, his wife has $300,000 in student loans. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, everybody in here just went, ouch, and their jaws dropped to the floor. That sounds like a fallen chain around your neck, doesn't it? I mean, imagine just dragging that with you. For how many years will it take to pay that off? Working her job, she's a pharmacist, okay? So, you go to pharmacy school and you get that much debt. And then you get a job, and guess what you're enslaved to? Your job. I mean, you just spent all this money to get this degree. You bet you're going to be a pharmacist for the next 30 or 40 years, right? And that's just crazy. And it literally, they will take them at least 30 years to pay off that debt because he's got student loan debt too. And he's got an oil field job. So here's a guy, you look at him on the outside, he's in the oil field, she's a pharmacist. You're thinking, man, they must be rolling in the dough. They're in the negative. They will be for a long time. That wasn't my dream for my life. And, a lot of us are in the same boat. So what we want is freedom and flexibility, us millennials. And so what I'm going to talk about tonight is important for that. And that's why I mentioned it. So secondly, you've got Gen X, and then you've got baby boomers. So Gen X, there's a handful of Gen Xers in the room here. They have consumer debt, okay? Credit card debt. Scott, you don't have credit card debt. He was raising his hand because he's a Gen Xer, not because he has credit card debt. But the average consumer debt here in Gen X is about $27,000 on credit cards, not including home loans. That's crazy, man. That's still a ball and chain around your neck, around your life. And I don't want that. And I know y'all don't want that either. We want freedom. We want flexibility. We want a work-life balance. We want to be able to, go take our kids on vacation. Just go to the bathroom when you want to. Take lunch when you want to. A lot of the times, that's not the case when you get into this thing. that I'm going to talk about, which is a 40-40-40 plan. So we all were sold this deal. And the deal was that you go to school, and if you get good grades, oh, I ruined it. Help, help, help. So the deal that we were sold is if you go to school and you get good grades, you go to college. And then when you go to college and get good grades, you get a degree. And when you get a degree, you go out into the field and enter the workforce, and you get this white picket fence, and life is hunky-dory, and you get married and you have kids, and then you die happily ever after. Or you live happily ever after, and then you die. But man, I wanted a little more out of life, don't you? I had a dream. Like, I hope I'm like not the screen. Me is better than the screen. Okay, so I wanted more out of life than just going and punching the clock for the rest of whatever, right? And what's cool is I have a friend who talks about legacy. What is your legacy going to be, right? Because if you go to work for somebody else, what you're doing is you're building their legacy. Is that not true? Somebody paid you and hired you to work for them to build their dream. What happened to yours? See, my dream is to go experience the world that God created. I want to go see Bora Bora, where my friend just went to. And I want to go to the Dominican Republic when I feel like it. And go to the Himalayas. And I mean, this is an amazing world, and we have access to it if you're willing to do what is necessary. So we were sold this plan, and the plan is that you are enslaved to your student loan debt. Man, I pressed one button and totally nuked this thing. Yeah, that's crazy. So here's the deal. The 40-40-40 plan is when you trade time for dollars. And when you leave, you don't get paid anymore. When you punch out, you're done earning. And my friends with the pharmacist and the oil person, they get paid for their time. And when they leave their job, they stop getting paid. And thus, they're going to be enslaved to that debt for 30 years. But what if you learn this thing called leverage? And this is the opposite of the 40-40-40 plan. Right? What if you put people to work for you, or put money to work for you? Now, instead of getting paid for your time, you're getting paid for your efforts, or the efforts of the people, for the money. So instead of 100% of my own efforts in the 40-40-40 plan, and I've only got 24 hours in the day to work to pay off my student loans, what if I could do 1% of 100 people's efforts? That's a little different. Because if they all put in an hour tomorrow, that's 100 hours in a day where I only have 24. So I learned that when I was 19 years old. I was in college and I was playing football. I thought sports was the key to life. And that was just everything that I knew and that I did. And if it wasn't for a trial that I went through, a back surgery, put an end to my sports career, at the time it was devastating, right? But if it wasn't for that, I never would have been introduced to this concept. And I wouldn't be standing before you today. And that's powerful. So I was taught that when I was 19 years old. In the last 5 years, the stuff that I've learned is irreplaceable, completely irreplaceable. So moral of the story is 9 out of 10 people in our country are broke, either dead or dead broke. And it's just like my friends who I just met, the millennials who have this great job and a great job, 2 people with great incomes, still enslaved, still dead broke. And that is an average story. That's more than average, that's 90%. So, and 1% is wealthy. So 1 out of 100 people is wealthy in our country today. Third-party information, third-party study. So what are we going to do about this? That's the question. What are we going to do about this? How do you take advantage of this thing called leverage that I just mentioned? Well, I submit to you that we have the best way to do that. That's my opinion. And I'll show you why. So what if, this is a lot of words. Basically what this means is there's an opportunity. There is another option. There's a better option out there than what I just talked about, the ball and the chain, and the 40 years to retirement, which isn't even 40, it's like 60 now. for 70, or your grandma works at Walmart, and we've all seen grandmas working at Walmart, right? So we know this is a reality. So instead, what if it took you 1 to 2 years till you had all your bills paid monthly, and you could then, with the ever increase beyond that, you could do what you want with your life. You could work because you wanted to work, doing what you freaking love. Sorry, how to put the freaking word in there because I needed emphasis. Okay, and to wake some of these people up. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, what if you could work because you want to? That's awesome. Yeah. That just like, that gave me goosebumps. I'm telling you, that is insane. So imagine just working because you don't have to. I mean, working because you want to. Going and building a school in the Dominican Republic, putting your hands to work and getting in the dirt and the mud for those people who don't have the opportunity that you have in America, right? Or New Zealand or Australia, right? And how cool would that be? How awesome would that be to work from yourself, not to make it a paycheck, but to make a difference? That's insane. That's huge. That's where fulfillment comes from. That's what I want out of life. Man, big stuff. So here's that quote I told you about. You don't build your dreams, someone will hire you to build theirs. We all know that's the truth. So here's what we submit to you. We may have an opportunity, and it's called longevity. So what's cool about longevity is I don't have to push you as a square peg into a round hole. I don't have to do that with longevity. You get to come in and say, I like this or I like that, or this is my passion. I love oils. I love makeup. I love coffee. I love pet products. I love food. I love blueberry gluten-free pancakes. Woo! Anybody have those?
Yeah.
Oh man, cool. And you can build your life around that. You can pick your passion, and then you can promote it. And so here's the thing: is people are purchasing and just frolicking in these industries every single day. And what's cool is we can get a piece of it if we just share our heart. And if we just say, hey, you know, so-and-so, I have something that you might be interested in. And it's a better deal. It's a product that you're going to buy anyway. Instead, why don't you go through me? I'm your friend. I'm trusted, right? So here's why we exist. Mr. Dr. Joel Wallach. And I share his name. And I remember when I first met Dr. Wallach, I was actually just going to go up to him and like shake his hand. But he spotted my name tag, and we were in Salt Lake City at the convention. And he goes, Joel. And because he saw my name, he's like, that's a great name. He shook my hand. And of course, he's like this tall. So, but he just a nicest man, the most genuine dude, and a genius, a complete and total genius. And what Wallach did is he dedicated his life's work to saving people's lives with nutrition. That's where I nerd out, as Scott mentioned earlier. But this man put all the work in so that I don't have to, so that he can fill the holes in my diet, because we know we're not getting what we need from our diet, right? Even if you ate the 4 food groups and 6 cups of spinach a day, which, let's be honest, who's doing that? Okay, who owns a juicer? Does anyone own a juicer? You want to know? We got a couple juicers in here. Okay, so what's crazy is I'm about to break your hearts. What you put in the juicer is what you get into your body. The problem is, with what you put in the juicer, doesn't have much nutrition in it. Not as much as you think it does. So they did a study, and an apple 50 years ago versus an apple today, you'd have to eat 22 apples today to get a similar amount of nutrition. Not the same, but a similar amount of nutrition as an apple 50 years ago. Is that mind-blowing? Because to make money as a farmer in our country today, you need to produce for yield, not for nutrition. So what's in the soil goes in the plant, which goes into our food. But the farmer doesn't put the nutrition in the soil, and our soils are depleted. And you can look that up, and that's a proven fact. So Wallach said, this is crazy. We're devoid of nutrition, and we're stressed out and overworked and underpaid, and we're in dire straits as far as health goes because of it. So he wrote this book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, among several other books that he's authored. And over 350 million people have been exposed to that material. That's insane. So what Wallach discovered was that it is not what we're eating that's killing us. In America, 1 out of 3 are overweight or obese. 1 out of 3. That's sad. And it's not because it's not what you're not eating. It's not what you're eating. It's not the fried foods and sugars and all that stuff, which we all know is way too accessible. It's what you're not eating because we're not getting the right nutrients. So Wallach solved this problem. And here's our company. We have Mary Lou Henner. We have a handful of other celebrities. You may have remembered her from Taxi or Dancing with the Stars recently. What a genius. Just an amazing lady. We're all over the country. We're all over the world. We are in Kazakhstan. We're in, is that how you say that? Kazakhstan. I was correct. I stand corrected. Our headquarters are in Chula Vista in San Diego, but we just opened in the Philippines. We're in Australia, New Zealand. We're a worldwide company expanding, which is cool. We're actually a publicly traded company too, so that is a big deal. The stock ticker is YGYI. You can go look us up. Charlie's a stock trader, right? Right. And we're going to the NASDAQ. So that is awesome. So all that being said, we got some awesome people in our corner. Drew Pearson is one of them. Steve Hess, amazing man for the Denver Nuggets. And this is what we're up against. This is what Wallach noticed. You know, heart disease on the rise. All the diseases are on the rise. Does anyone in here, raise your hand if you have someone in your family with something, an ailment, cancer, diabetes, heart disease. Everyone's hand is up. I named 3 things, everyone's hand is up. Okay, who has a family member with cancer? Yeah, okay. So all this stuff is on the rise and we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And you know what? How cool would it be if you could go to your relative, those of you who just raise your hands, and say, I think I might have something for you. Now, not this chemotherapy radiation thing that kills 9 out of 10 people. Not that. What if I had a different solution for you? And just try it. I mean, just, you know, we have a friend, Brian Baum, and he might be on here watching today. If you are, hi, Brian. Here's a guy who was diagnosed over 5 years ago with a very terminal stage of cancer. And he was asked to say goodbye to his family and his friends. And he lives in Longmont, about 20 minutes away from us. Imagine that, first of all. Throwing a goodbye party because you have a death sentence. That's what those guys told him. And we have a friend who introduced him to Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach said, my friend, you can live. He said, you have hope. And changing nothing else in his life, but doing this. My man Brian is still here today. And 5 years ago, he was given 30 days to live. And the doctors went back and looked at him, and they said, well, Brian, we can't tell you don't have cancer. And we can't tell you that you do. Is that incredible? And he'll tell you, I changed nothing else in my life with that. That's a big deal. So who can you save? You know, this isn't supplements. A lot of people look at this and say it's supplements. It's not supplements. This is nutrition. There's a difference. See, nutrition is what is in the earth that God put there. It's supposed to be in our bodies. You know, our bodies require things to process and function, and skin cells to regenerate, and hormones, and all these things. It requires nutrients. And if you're not getting that in your body on a regular basis, you're deficient. And when you're deficient, disease happens. And that's what Dr. Wallach proved. So, this is what we're dealing with. Some cool stuff. All these things are targeted toward your issue. So if you know someone with diabetes or high blood sugar or whatever, this is a good idea. This blood sugar effect is a good idea for that person. It's not going to cure anything. It's not, meant to do that. It's going to give you the best opportunity to feel awesome. Can I say that? Right. Okay. Walking a thin line here. But the reality is that's a good idea. And bone and joint pack. I had back surgery. And I think I mentioned that. Did I mention that already? And that was what put me out of sports. And what happened was I had part of my disc removed because it was pushing on my sciatic nerve. And I was getting this nerve pain down my leg. And it was brutal. It was excruciating, I'm telling you. And so I had this surgery, put me out of sports, afforded me the opportunity to get into personal development and entrepreneurialism, network marketing, and which I'm so grateful for. But it also removed part of my physiology. And so no more nerve pain, but chronic back pain for the last 5 years. Bad. So I started taking this stuff every day. And in about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, not kidding, it's a true story. You guys know Nikki very well, my fiance. And she said, you haven't complained about your back in a while. And I was like, was I complaining a lot? And she's like, yeah, it was every day. And I was like, oh, geez. But apparently, in the car on the way to the gym, what I'd love to do now is work out, go to the gym. On the way to the gym, I complained about it at the gym. Oh, my back hurts, like, what are you doing? My back hurts, And after 3 weeks, I'm not kidding, of taking this stuff, she said, you haven't complained in a while. I was like, really? And I thought about it, and I hadn't. A few weeks after that, I noticed that I hadn't complained in a while. And my back is light years better, y'all. I'm telling you. And I'm not from the South, but I just said y'all. And my friend Charlie caught it because he's from Alabama. But my back is awesome right now. It's better than it has been since 2011 when I got the surgery. And this is what I changed right there. So it's a real deal, man. So that all being said, we have an opportunity. And one of my opportunities is to save the world with nutrition. What's cool about that is that's the vision of the founder of our company, is saving some lives. And that's Dr. Joel Wallach. It's just such a cool thing to be able to save someone with nutrition. And we've seen it happen. We continue to see it happen over and over again. So what we do is we reward people to spread that message. And you know what? If essential oils are your deal, you might save some lives with that. Anybody's life saved by essential oil? Okay. Do you know of anybody? So they're the real deal. I heard a story the other day, actually, that somebody, it was pretty amazing. I don't know much about it, but I know they're awesome. And you can do that. You can do that in longevity. So, me, I'm a nutrition guy. But I love everything this company has to offer. Over 5,000 products in billion-dollar niches. Over $7 billion niches. So that's cool. That all being said, I'm going to pass this mic on to my friend and mentor, someone who I'm just so grateful for in my life. I'm a different person because of spending time with this individual. And over the last 6 months or so, my life's in a different spot, completely different spot, in a really, really good way. And I'm excited where it's going. So you might know him as a kind, hairless gentleman who is humble yet confident. He almost masters that line right there, like humble and confidence. He's like the master of it. It's beautiful. But I know him as also, someone who is structurally the highest ranking individual in a company of over 1.2 million plus people. He's the number one. And in the top 5 as far as income earning. That's awesome. We're in the presence of greatness, y'all. So, I said it again. What's going on? I spent too much time with Charlie. Okay, everyone please welcome Scott for this. See,
why he's so fun to listen to? He's just down to earth. Nothing's canned. He just comes from the heart, which I just really appreciate. And something else I really appreciate is that he's a recent success story. You know, he's not the person that's been here for 20 or 5 or 10 years. He and his fiance got started with longevity just in the last 6 or 7 months. So it's just extraordinary to see what happens in a short period of time when you apply yourself. So let's talk about application. How do you apply yourself here at Longevity? Because that's a really big thing. So as all of you are sitting here right now, you're thinking about your world, you're thinking about your circumstances. But I want to walk you through a quick little journey just so we can get back to a foundation of relatability. When Juliette and I made the decision that this was our home and that longevity was our family and that we were going to take advantage of something that made a lot of sense to us and not like do nothing with it. Once we decided, it was like game on. Let's really do this. Let's not talk about doing it. Let's really do this. So we set some goals. We made some lofty ones, quite frankly, based on where we were at and what we needed to have happen in our life. Some of them were health related. Some of them were physical. Some of them were financial. Some of them had to do with time and just quite frankly, our lifestyle. What you should know about us is that we've been married for 22 years and a half. Got to throw in the half because the half is a lot. And sometimes I feel like a kid because when you're young, you're like, I'm 5 and a half. And you got to throw in that half. But I get excited, you know, about the fact that it's 22 and a half because that's a long time. And I want it to still be a long time. I want it to be 50 and a half and then 75 and a half. Her grandparents were married for like 77 and a half years. That's a long time. I mean, good luck celebrating 77 and a half years of marriage. So that's why we throw in the half, because they did. So that's something that's unique for us. The other thing that's unique is we have 3 kids. And we've got a 17-year-old son, junior in high school. We have a 14-year-old son that's in 8th grade. And these guys are giants now. They're both taller than I'm 6 feet tall. They're 6'2", and they're extremely talented in school and in sports, and they know no strangers. I don't know where they get that from. Our daughter is the same. She's just a little pipsqueak. She's the opposite of them, and she's just a little half pint. But she's 12 now and loving life, and we're into them. And they're into us, and it's like everything we can do to spend quality time together, to support each other. When she has something going on, her brothers are there on the front row to support her. When they've got something on, they're just all there. And so that takes time to be able to do that. And so the first thing that we recognized that we really, really wanted in our life and in our marriage was control of our time, where we could both be present. We used to laugh because oftentimes, you know, since we've been part of the Longevity family, is I'd show up to something and I'd be like the only guy there. And you're thinking, really? Like, how could that be? Don't they all have dads? Yes, they do. But they were all working. And so for me to realize that I could be present, it wasn't that I was lucky. It wasn't that I was, you know, different. I just made a decision. I made a decision that those dads weren't willing to make. I made sacrifices earlier on that those dads weren't willing to make. And the key word is yet. Some of them have started to catch on. So that was really important for us. You should also know that with the kind things that people say about us, and we're always humbled to be introduced and to hear, you know, the nice things that people feel toward you. You should know that we've been through incredible struggles, stuff with really tall walls that didn't seem possible at the time. Like, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to get around that? This day stinks. Holy cow, could it possibly get any more complicated? I mean, a couple of examples. I remember one time waking up at 4 a.m. because we heard a loud, rackety, wrenching engine, high rev, high RPM noise that seemed to be coming from out in the front driveway. We went and looked, and sure enough, the sound was of a flatbed truck using a wrench and a winch to hoist our vehicle up onto the flatbed and tow it away. That's what happens when you don't owe your stuff and the bank really owns it and you get behind in your payments. And that happened to us. So having a car repossessed, it's embarrassing, it's humiliating, it can be shameful if you allow yourself to go there. You start asking yourself, man, what's wrong with me? How come I can't hold it together? You know, I'm supposed to be a provider, and here our stuff is getting repossessed. And right around that same time period, it's not like it stopped there. You know, we had a home foreclosure. And I'll never forget the conversation where we're like, it's not our decision. We are forced to move. We are getting kicked out of our home. And we thought we owned it. But again, just because we had a mortgage payment didn't mean that it was really ours. It belonged to the bank. And when you get behind in your mortgage payments, then they show you who's boss by taking it back. And you can think that it's yours all you want to, but when you don't own your stuff and you finance it, it doesn't belong to you. So we found out the hard way what that had to look like. The only thing that they didn't take away was our children, which we're very thankful for, and each other. So we did keep a little bit of our sanity. We still had good mentorship and people in our lives, and we paid attention, and we realized that that was just something that we had the privilege of experiencing, and it was just one of those things called life. And what we've done about it now, rather than treating it as something shameful, is we've gone public and we've said, hey, our life isn't perfect. Can anybody else relate to not having a perfect life? So we just want to give people encouragement and hope that no matter what your wall is, whatever your challenge is, that there is a solution. And the solution starts by teaming up with the right kinds of people. You know, one of my favorite statements is probably overused and over-exemplified today, but it says something like, if you surround yourself with people that have what you want, and you're willing to learn from them and then actually implement and copy the things that they do or the things that they talk about doing that led them to some form of success in their life, then you're likely to get some portion of outcome or result that they had by doing what they do. And oftentimes in life, we pay attention to the wrong people. We're taking advice from people that don't have a vested interest in your success. And what I love more than anything about network marketing in the home-based business industry is that everybody has a vested interest in somebody else's success. And the way we get there isn't to have self-glory. It's to point the attention at the people that we're investing our time into. And you point the attention on them. And Zig Ziglar says it best. When you help everybody else get what they want first, and that's your MO, your modus operandi, your whole focal point, when you make it about them instead of about you, then you'll get everything that you could possibly dream of come in your direction. As long as you can think it, you can make it so. So that's what I believe. We've put that to practice, and lo and behold, things we used to struggle with, we just don't struggle with those things anymore. And the things we used to worry about, we don't have those worries anymore. We have discovered that you're never going to go through life problemless, but we just decided to change the problems that we have. And wouldn't that be kind of cool if you could change the problems that you have? So it started here. So Joel did a fantastic job of giving you a broad perspective of what longevity represents. In simple terms, here's what I want you to imagine. When it comes to longevity, I just want you to think, if money weren't an issue, would it not make more sense to shop at Whole Foods Market than to shop at Target? It would, wouldn't it? I mean, what do you know about Whole Foods? And I'm using them as an example. There's other wonderful examples, but we all know Whole Foods Market. What you know about Whole Foods Market is that when you walk through the door, you have the confidence and the trust that whoever's running that operation has taken extra measures and extra steps to put things on the shelf that probably will serve you better than the items that you'll find on the shelf at other lesser competing stores. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
The reason why everybody doesn't flood into Whole Foods Market is because it costs a little bit more. What are you paying for? You're paying for the fact that somebody took the time and the effort, energy to not be cheap, to not put synthetics or chemicals or compounds or hormones or nitrates and other things that go into foods and to make things processed. That's what you're paying for. And so if you care enough about yourself, you're willing to pay the little bit more for that peace of mind. So now I want you to imagine that longevity is one of those stops and shops for you where you can have the peace of mind knowing that we've gone and taken that extra step as well to ensure that when you make a purchase, you're actually doing yourself a favor. And so when you pay a little bit more than Target, you can realize that you have the peace of mind knowing that longevity's thought of what your concern really is. But here's what gets really interesting for me. When you go into Whole Foods Market, do they tell you what to buy? Does anybody stand at the door and say, Tim, when you go into our store today, you are going to buy grapes? And if you actually, I mean, you look at them funny and say, I don't eat grapes. I already have grapes in the fridge. I didn't come here for grapes. Doesn't matter. You need to buy the grapes anyways. But see, oftentimes that's what happens inside this industry or this profession is because the product niches are so narrow focused that there aren't the options and the choices. And so you feel pressured to tell people that they need to actually buy something. what I want you to get really crystal clear is there are so many choices and options here. Personally, me to you, I don't care what you buy. I really don't. Because whatever you choose, it should be because you needed it. It should be because you wanted it. It should be because you were going to buy it anyway someplace else. But here's what I want to propose to you tonight. When you say, why should I buy longevity? Well, I just gave you a really good reason, but I want to give you one that's like, drop the mic. Here's the drop the mic. Why should you buy longevity? Here's the answer. It's because if all things were equal, and our products were no better than every place else you're already shopping. So let's be clear, where do most people shop? I'm not saying you do, but where do most people shop? Most people shop at Target and Walmart and Costco and Sam's Club and Albertsons and King Soopers and Safeways and Trader Joe's and Sprouts and Vitamin Cottage and Whole Foods Market. True or false?
True.
Okay. If those places were good enough for you and you never asked them to see the scientific reports before you put everything in your cart,
Sure.
you just decided that they were going into your cart, and somewhere along the line you said it's good enough and I trust. So if you'll just have the same level of confidence in longevity and realize that our products are at least as good as all the places that you already shop at. They're at least that good. Know that. They're at least that good. And I could stand here and tell you why they're better than all those things, but that would take a lot of time and effort and energy. But I want you just to imagine that they're at least as good as every place you already shop. But here's the difference maker. If it weren't the product quality, here's what it is. Here, you have the right, not the guarantee, not the fact, not the income claim. I'm not making an income claim, and I'm not giving you something that's a fact. But what I am telling you is you have the right to do something. You have the right to participate in the fact that we have a commission structure. And that commission structure will compensate those people who are willing to tell the longevity story. And the difference maker is that because of that, you have the right to create financial independence. That possibility, that's the key word, the possibility for you to be wealthy, the right for you to choose wealth, the right for you to implement financial security into your life that could be more solid than trading time for money exists here. That's the reason why you should, listen carefully, you should swap where you shop. You were already going to buy shampoo and dog food, and you were already going to buy stuff to clean your body when you took a shower, and nutritional supplements from somewhere else, and protein powder so you could have your after workout routine working for you, and energy drinks, and blueberry gluten-free pancakes. You were already going to buy those things someplace else. Just swap where you shop and get them from longevity. If for no other reason, it's because why? You have the right to be wealthy. And that doesn't exist from any of those other stores that I mentioned you already shop at. Is that true or false?
True.
It's true, isn't it? So isn't that some hope? Isn't that some good news? So here's what you should do. You should continue your job. You should continue your career, because that's what you have right now, and that's your security blanket. But while you're doing that at the same time, you want to maximize your opportunity here on a part-time level. And I will tell you, don't minimize my definition of part-time. If you had 10 minutes a day, which you all do, you can all find 10 minutes a day. And why am I using that example? It's because a 10-minute phone call could make the difference in you staying in a group called mediocre and joining the elite. That's a 10-minute phone call. A simple little invite could just take 10 minutes. And later on, we'll show you how to do that. We're going to do a training this weekend called Super Saturday Training. And it's going to go from 10 a.m. to 1:30. I'll tell you about it again, but I want to plant this first seed right now. So that's happening this coming Saturday. But watch this. See this right here? These three things right here should pretty much define everybody's options and choices for what fits them best engaging into longevity. This is critical right here. So listen very, very carefully. Number one, these are my terms. We have like a preferred / a wholesale customer. If you want to be a preferred or a / a wholesale customer, get our products at the lowest prices possible that are available to everybody, then I would encourage you to spend $25 one time for a lifetime membership for all of our wholesale benefits. You have an account with longevity, you can go in and pick and choose 24/7, anything you want, and it will show up directly to your doorstep. Then I'm going to say that that's good, but here's better, and then I'll show you best. My opinions, by the way, these are not facts, they're my opinions. The next best option, a better option, would be the $25 membership, and then to immediately trust the process, trust the system, and say, okay, let's go ahead and let's do some replacement shopping right now. You become a product of the product. You might not necessarily be interested or committed right now to changing or bettering your financial circumstances. You should be, but you might not be there yet. And if that's you, then this would be my definition of a hobby builder. Somebody that just wants to take it easy, take it at their own pace, not really be in a hurry, no major pressing thing going in your life to change your circumstances, but you clearly understand the value of swapping where you shop. So that would be a better option, which would be option number 2, $25 one-time membership, immediately figure out what you would be spending money on at another store and test out our system. I'll tell you this, once you test it out, I don't think you're going back. I really don't. I think your experience, my personal opinion, your experience is you're going to use our products, you're going to experience our superior customer service, you're going to love the fact that things show up directly at your doorstep and you didn't have to, go out of your way to make it happen. And you're going to love the way you feel and love the convenience and love the experience of our company and our system and what we do for you from a customer service standpoint. That's my personal belief and experience. The best option though, you're someone like Juliette and I, you can relate to our story at all. And you're going, okay, you know what? I'm just not comfortable. I don't like where things are at right now. You're open, you're honest, and you're saying my circumstances could be different. I'm looking at where I'm at right now as a stepping stone to something better or different or more significant for my life. If you're the type of person that says, I want to surround myself with great people, they're right here, right now. They're on this camera right now. Somewhere in the world, they're here in this room of people. As many people as that are here tonight, it is no representation of the fact that there are a lot of people somewhere on this planet that are loving longevity for the things that we talked about. You can be part of that organization and you can be in business for yourself, but you'll never be alone. And the better option is to choose to get the materials, some sample products for yourself, become a product of our product, walk the talk, put them on you, put them in you, experience our customer service, experience our system, get the training that we have available, submerge yourself as much as you possibly can, pay attention to the things that you can plug and engage into in the next 24 hours, in the next 48 hours, in the next 7 days, in the next month, in the next quarter, and in the next year. We'll find out where you're at and we'll match your level of play. And that option is the best option if you want the whole package. If you want the holistic approach to changing your life, you want a CEO pack. They are $499.99 plus tax and shipping. So it's going to be closer to $550 to $60 all said and done. And inside here, you've got some options with what we call these CEO packs. And so if you're somebody that wants great general health, then you want the standard Healthy Body CEO pack. If you're somebody that wants to lose some weight in the process of getting healthy, and everybody knows who they are, we don't have to point you out, then I would recommend the Keto CEO pack that's designed specifically to support your journey of losing and shedding unwanted pounds in a healthy way. So pick one of those 2 CEO packs and then watch this. Here's what we want to do. Unlike all those stores we talked about, one of the other benefits is that we are going to do everything in our power quickly, like in the next really short window of time, to put the money that you've spent on that CEO pack right back in your pocket. Here's an example of how that can happen. Let's just say, by the way, this is a simple theoretical example. All the numbers that I share with you are not going to equal or work out perfectly because not everybody's going to make the same choices and decisions and spend the exact same dollar amount. So all things being equal, this is simply a simple theoretical example with no intent to promote or make income claims specifically. So here we go. Here's 4 people. Notice they could be anybody. These are silhouettes of people that look like people you know. And they're all around you. They're your work associates, they're your family members, they're your really great friends, people you went to school with, people you graduated with, people you've done life with, people you've partied with, people you've cried with, people you've held hands with. That's who these people are. And when you tap them on the shoulder and you say something like this to them, I have a question for you. Is your life where you thought it would be, and is this as good as it gets for you? Or is it possible that where you're at is simply a stepping stone and you're looking for something? And if they answer that question correctly, you'll quickly find out immediately and upfront if that person is worth your time or energy. And if in fact they are, then my question for them next would be, how about if I introduce you to some people that have made a huge impact on my life and my family's life and in my world in general? Would you be open to that introduction? And when it comes with sincerity from you to them, they're going to say, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'd be happy to do that. Who would turn that? Seriously, what kind of person would turn down a genuine, authentic invitation like that, that is worded the way I worded it? When you get good at talking like that and communicating like that and not being weird with people, then all the people you know are going to say, tell me more and show me what's going on and how this can benefit my world, as you put it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I want you to get that good at inviting people to see this. Because when they see this, there are 100 reasons, in my opinion, why they'll say yes to this, and about 2 that they'll say no to it. You want to know what the 2 are? Because I didn't make that number up. It's specific. There are 2 reasons I've ever thought of for why people would say no to this, and there really are about 100 for why they would say yes. So with those kind of odds, what's stopping people from getting totally ecstatic about what we're doing here and going nutso to change your circumstances? And it's the 2 reasons I'm going to tell you, because they're your reasons. Here's what your reasons are. It's fear and ego. Fear and ego. Those are the 2 reasons why people say no. That's it. There really aren't any other reasons. There might be some unique reasons that don't apply to everybody, but those are the 2 reasons that apply to everybody that says no. So with those kind of odds, can you see why this would make a lot of sense for everybody? Yes. So there they are. Here's 4 people. And when they say yes, like you will, then the law of averages says 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to earn about $130 to $35, maybe 120 to 35 bucks, somewhere in there per person. And 4 of those are going to put all of the money that you spent on your CEO pack right back into your pocket. So here's the real question. How long will it take you to introduce, as I just role played, 4 people to longevity? How long will it take you? And for some of you, the answer is not very long. As a matter of fact, while you're talking, the names are flooding through your head. They're just clicking right now. Click, 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 and you know who they are, and you're going to pick up the phone, and you're going to do exactly what I just role played. We're close to it, and it's going to work. In my opinion, it's going to work. Just believe that. And when they see this, in my opinion, there's about 100 reasons for them to say yes and about 2 to say no. So we'll overcome those objections and help you with that. And now you've got 4 new people working with you to change their circumstances. So you're helping them and it's helping you change yours at the same time. Well, let's take this and play this out. I'm going to give you around about approximately $150 example with over 5,000 SKUs inside of the Longevity company and all of our partner and affiliate stores that are out there with bricks and mortar companies that you may or may not be aware of. It's easy, in my opinion, to shop through Longevity and change your shopping habits to the tune of 100. Would you all agree that we all spend, whether you're single or you have a family, that we spend at least 150 bucks a month at all those stores I mentioned? Yeah. And if you swap where you shop, you'll be not using the $150, roughly $150 example. You're going to be going, are you kidding me? I spend $1,000 a month at all those stores. Are you kidding me? I spend $800. Seriously, I spend $600 or $2 grand. I don't know what you spend, but it's way more than 150. Here's what happens. These 4 people from the previous slide, when they do that and you have all the money back in your pocket, now you have a residual, I use the laser, about 40 to 50 bucks a month coming back to you. And you might say that's not any big deal, but every big deal has to have a starting point, yes or no? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's your starting point. And then when that gets duplicated and those 4 get 4, then you're going to have an additional 150 to 200 bucks. And when they do the same thing, another 600 or 700 bucks. If we stop right there and you did the math, that's 900 to 1,000 bucks a month. You go back one, 900 to 1,000 bucks a month. Here's what you should know about 900 to 1,000 bucks a month. Research shows, and I've looked into this, that around about 80% of all the bankruptcies last year would have been avoided if the household had just had an extra 800 to 1,000 bucks a month. Do you see the impact or the magnitude that that difference in income can make to a household if that many bankruptcies, in fact, it's fair. It's overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. But let's take it one step further and notice this is like a snowball effect. The bigger it gets, the faster it gets bigger. Do it again, and you add all those numbers up, that's $3,000 to $3,500 a month. You know what that number does? It brings somebody with a trade time for money, hard working job or career. We're not telling you to quit your job. We're just saying at this point, for the first time, you have an option and you have a choice. And it's yours to exercise when you feel the time is right, but ultimately the objective is that one day you actually do have that option and choice, and it makes enough sense for you that you can get your time back. We can start saying, okay, I was supplement, I don't need that thing anymore, I don't need that thing anymore, I don't need that thing anymore, and pretty soon you cleared all those things off your plate and you're going, wow, it feels good. That's what retirement is supposed to look like. If retirement is not boredom, retirement is not doing nothing. We all have to have a reason to get out of bed, but when you get out of bed, it should be on your terms. That's what getting out of bed should look like, is it's on your terms instead of you get out of bed on someone else's terms. Let's take it one more step. Add all those numbers here, that's $12,000 or $13,000 a month. You know what that does? That gives your whole household the right, in most cases, or the opportunity and the option to get rid of all the rest of the things that are on the table. And if you take it one more time, now we're up to over $60,000 a month. Now here's the point. That math in a perfect world, it works like that. If that configuration really happened inside your business, that would be approximately how much you would in fact earn. And so since it will never work that perfectly, and you're not gonna have 4 that get 4 that get 4 that get 4, you're not gonna end up with that exact number. But once again, it is a simple theoretical example, and the math really does work. Ultimately, I mean, we're talking about 6 generations of people. I looked in my back office, I think we have like, I don't know, somewhere around 27 or 30 generations of people. So if you're wondering if anybody really, has an organization with more than 6 generations of people, the answer is yes. My math is right that we've done that 4 to 5 times deeper and stronger than that. And by the way, just PS by the way, even though longevity's been here for close to 20 years now, we've only been here for about 5.5. There's the half again. So gotta throw the half in. We've only been here for about 5.5 years, and half 6 of those months were because I was struggling with a health issue. And once we got past that, we were like just loaded for bear. We were so excited, so pumped about new beginnings and a fresh slate to be able to move forward from. So that can also be a metaphor. What's your fresh slate? What has to happen in your life to realize that you can start with a brand new canvas and paint it any way you jolly well please? But once again, simple theoretical example, it doesn't matter if you ever make that money. And I hope everyone online is listening to this too. It doesn't matter if you ever reach that income level. Here's what matters. If I started my laser pointer right here, just at step 1, square 1, and it was 40 or 50 bucks a month, you might say, wow, that really makes a difference. But if that's not enough, where does my laser pointer need to stop to where all of the pain goes away? And I'll tell you, it's not down here. It's probably somewhere closer to that, what we were talking about, 800 to 1,000 bucks a month. That's where most people's pain starts to get eliminated very, very quickly. And it's not much further past that. Could you imagine? Just think about it. Think about right now, just earning, all of a sudden, you could put in another $3 grand a month into your budget. How do you feel now? Instantaneously, you could just add another $3,000 a month. For most people, that's overwhelming. So just know that you can impact people's lives pretty quickly out of the gate. It doesn't need to be years down the road before that happens. Moving along, there are 10 ways that we get paid. I'm not going to take the time to go through all 10 ways, but I do want to point out one extra one that we haven't spent too much time on. It's called the car bonus. I told you that our car got repossessed. One of the things right up front that we so desperately needed, we borrowed a car from somebody else. It was not pretty at all. It was a sight to behold. I mean, the fabric was falling out of the ceiling. There was foam everywhere. There was, the windows were hazy and scratchy tinting, and you had to roll down the windows by going like this, and sometimes they didn't want to come back up. And the air conditioning, she remembers, the air conditioning did not work at all. So cloth seats with holes and foam coming out. It was just something. But you know what? To this day, that's my favorite car because of what it represented. It represented a place where we started from. And if you never forget where you came from, you'll never go back. But people that forget where they came from, oftentimes they have to go back and learn the lessons all over again. So I'm constantly reminding myself of humble beginnings and where it all started. And I want you to know where it started for us, because if nothing else, it's going to give you hope and inspiration that your past doesn't have to equal your future. There is a thing called new beginnings. So that car bonus is very, very real. I think, you know, in about the second month for us, we had that car bonus working for us, and we got to pick out something that Longevity afforded the payment on. And they said, here's the cash. You do as you please with it. If you need a car, great. If you don't, pay another bill. Pay your cell phone bill. Put groceries in your refrigerator. But it was allocated a car bonus, and we needed that car. So we spent time going, what do we want to drive? They're going to pay for it. What do we want to drive? And when we picked out the color and the make and the model, it was awesome. I'll never forget that vehicle driving into our car. We're like, wow, that's ours. And Longevity is good for it. We don't have to worry about that one being repossessed again. They pay, and they pay on time. What I want you to know about Longevity is in their 20-year history, they've never missed a bonus check. They never missed a bonus payment. They've never said, oh, guys, you know, sorry, you know, bonus checks are going to be late. And so one of the things they pride themselves on is they don't mess with people's money. They pay on time for 20 years. That's good news that you don't have to worry about. So next is, here's a little bit about the car bonus. It goes up to $1,000 a month, which is fantastic. Starts at $300. And yeah, if you're somebody that needs to get into that car bonus, we can show you how to get there in 60, 90, 120 days. Somewhere in there is pretty reasonable, typical. And we are very great at recognition and thanking people and praising people for their hard work. But in closing, one thing's for certain. If we're not willing to change ourselves, don't worry about changing other people, as I monologue starting out tonight. Just worry about changing yourself. Don't wish for things to get better in your life or people to improve. You just get better. You just improve. You just be the person that changes, and you'll change everyone around you because of who you are. So here's some questions. I think we've annihilated these, quite frankly, but you should have all asked this question right off the bat at least. Is this real? Yeah, it's real. 20 years, publicly traded, operators with Dr. Wallach and the Wallach family as a whole, and President Dave Brisky, who's had Wall Street experience and public company operating experience, and all the amazing field leaders that are there, and our Vice President, Alex Tice. You definitely want to get to know him. Incredible people with years and decades combined experience doing what we do. You're in great hands. I don't like the Allstate commercial. You're in great hands. Is this real? Absolutely. Can you do this? I believe you can. You can swap where you shop. You can decide to work on yourself. You can make a new decision that it's okay to do something part-time so you can get away from your full-time thing, and your part-time thing can become your full-time thing. You can decide to do that. You can decide to belong to the Longevity family and let them deliver your products to your doorstep. You can decide to improve somebody's life and open your mouth and give them some hope. You can decide to make an introduction from somebody and where they are to someone you know here in the Longevity family that can speak their language. You can make those decisions. And you can make a decision to rank advance in this company. You can make a decision to be one of those examples I showed you of where you should be financially. You can make those decisions. So yeah, you can do this. Will someone help you? Yeah, someone is definitely going to help you. That's what we're doing right now. No, Joel didn't get compensated to stand here and share what he shared a few minutes ago. He doesn't get compensated to do that. I don't get paid. I'm not a paid speaker that goes out and makes my living by delivering great speeches. I deliver great speeches, but I don't get paid to deliver great speeches. And so I go out to inspire people, and the way I get paid is if you're successful. So here's what I want to ask you, Brittany. Do you mind if I help you, and I'm role playing with you, you said you wanted to make $5,000 a month. So if I help you make $5,000 a month, do you mind if I make 500?
Do I mind if you make 500?
Yeah, do you mind if I help you make $5,000 a month? Do you mind if I get paid 500?
I don't mind, but I feel bad.
You feel like I should make more, right? So see, isn't that nice when someone feels bad? Like, oh, that's it? Yeah, that's great. So if I want to make more money than 500, I have to help you and 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 all these people. And by helping those people, your income goes up. So you have to help other people if you want to get paid. Does that make sense? That's the purity of what we do here. Look at the benefits. This little wheel right here, this target wheel, longevity is the focal point right in the center of this. But as we put out in a new slide coming to you very soon, there are like 6 or 7 multi-billion-dollar niches that we specialize in. Like really truly specialize in them. We go deep and wide and very far into those niches. And again, when you swap where you shop, you have the ability to potentially have a longer, healthier life. You have the potential for success because of our proven business model. Certainly recognition and appreciation, unlimited training and support, be your own boss. Willable income. What's willable income? That's when you inform through your trust in your will and your attorney sets it up for you and they put in there and a copy goes to longevity and it's clear that when you're not here anymore and one day you will be and you name your kids or your spouse or your parents or special people in your life as the beneficiaries, whatever you're earning inside of longevity, just because you're not here anymore, they don't stop paying those checks. They keep paying those checks. Unlike your job, they keep paying your checks. Now, I'm not a life insurance person at all. Never been in life insurance, but I have life insurance and I believe in life insurance. And of the life insurance policies that I have, I will tell you, this is my favorite one. And it's not called life insurance.
Sure.
But I can, just logically think about this topic and say, what more could I possibly want? Life insurance is an exact number. Longevity is potentially a forever number because they don't stop paying. As long as they're in business and as long as you have business, then they don't stop paying those commissions. That to me is the most important component of the life insurance policy in my mind that I have for my family. Does that make sense to everybody how I worded that? Stop making any life insurance claims. Residual income potential means you do something once, you have the potential as long as longevity is in business and as long as you have business that you get paid forever. Kind of like the global income thing. And vacation incentives. Joel brought up, we just went to Punta Cana. Every year, the company sponsors a trip where you can have the right and the ability to have longevity pay for all those expenses based on you just going out and building your business. So people ask me all the time, how do I qualify for the free airline and the destination and getting invited on this trip and all expenses paid? How do I do that? And I say, listen, don't worry about all that stuff. Just go help some people. And when you help people, then you'll find yourself invited on that trip. It's a default. If you help people and you help them rank advance and you grow your business, don't worry about all the fine print. It just happens. Build your business. Let us help you build it the way it's supposed to be built. And you'll find yourself on the next trip, which is 1 year from now in Cancun at a unbelievable resort, like jaw-dropping, top of the world, off the chart, nice. And you will be, every one of you, and how many of you in this room want to be at that trip?
Yes.
Perfect. Good. We will all be there. If you want to be there, you'll be there. If you're like, I don't know, I'm not so sure about that, then you probably won't be there because you're not committed in your mind. Just say, I will be there. And the chances are you'll find yourself hanging out with all of us, sipping virgin pina coladas and daiquiris, and hanging out on the sandy beach, body surfing in the ocean, deep sea fishing, whatever it is we're going to do there. It'll be fun. So, in closing, here are 5 simple steps that my wife and I have found very beneficial to share with people to build their business successfully. And you'll recognize some of these. There's a little acronym called ICLIP, I-C-L-I-P. First one stands for imagination. You have to see yourself with a different set of circumstances. You have to see yourself laughing. You have to see yourself playing. You have to see yourself serving and making a difference and waking up every day with purpose and intentionality. All those things you have to be able to see in your head. If you do not see those in your head, then this is going to be very complicated for you. So again, it comes back to permission. You have to give yourself permission to live a different life than the one you live right now. Not that your life is bad, it can just be better. And we all agree that no matter how good life is, that we could have a better life. Yeah, so you have to imagine that. So if you want a different house, see it. If you want a different car, see it. If you want to donate a bunch of money to your favorite churches and nonprofits and charities, then see yourself being able to afford that. If you want to take care of your elderly aging parents and do special things for them and keep them around, in their own home a little bit longer instead of going into a nursing home, see that. So whatever you want, see it, imagine, and that's the fuel to your vehicle that you're going to drive, metaphorically speaking. We talked about a CEO pack. Now I put CEO pack up there. Here's what I want you to think about. I put the CEO pack up there because I encourage people to think bigger. You have the right to just get that $25 membership. You have the right to say no. You have the right to do nothing. You have the right to walk out of here or disengage off the camera tonight and say thanks, but no thanks. You have that right. You're welcome to do that. If you do, we love you anyways. But I don't think that's where people are at. I don't think anybody online wants that. I don't think anybody sitting here wants that. So you have to look at other options. And I just know that if you have an imagination, then you have a dream. And if you have a dream, then you want to fulfill that dream. And you want to give yourself the best fighting chance to experience the reality coming true. And the best way to do that, not the only way, the best way to do that is through a CEO pack. It opens the door, the vault, so to speak, with all the possibilities of income potential, and all 10 forms of commissions are inside the vault that's only unlocked through a CEO pack. Now, does that mean you can't upgrade later or get a CEO pack at a later date? No. You can start anywhere you want to. You're welcome to do that. So don't feel pressured to do anything. Go with your gut, go with your heart, get out of your head. Don't listen to the fear mongers. Just go with one of these two things. Oftentimes guys are gut feelers and women are heart feelers. So go with one of those two things and do what you know the right thing is to do. The next thing on the ICLIP acronym is your list. You already did that click through your brain earlier, like who you should be talking to. If I said to you right now, I'm willing to follow you around and be your personal expert for the next 7 days, would you take advantage of it? Or would you just say, look at that guy follow me everywhere? Some of you would say, what's so weird? He's just like following me everywhere I go. But others of you, again, metaphorically would say, I'm the luckiest person on the planet. They're willing to go with me everywhere I go and meet with anybody I want them to at my beck and call for 7 days. So would you procrastinate and wait till day number 6 or 7? Or would you say, I got 7 days. I know who I'm going to put in front of that person in front of Scott tomorrow. If you could put anybody in front of me that you wanted to, one-on-one, privately for the next 7 days, my question to you would be, how many people can you put in front of me in the next 7 days? I'm 100% yours. What would you do? Would you say, oh, I don't know anybody? Or would you be honest with yourself and say, I know tons of people. I just need to be brave enough and bold enough to open my mouth and actually make the connection and put these two people together. That's what you should do. That's why you need a list, is so you know who the possibilities are to put in front of experts. This is a great meeting, and it's great that all of you came tonight. It's great that everybody online, all of you tuned in today or tonight, whatever your time zone is. I'm so glad that you did that. But here's where the rubber hits the road, realizing that we've got something special inside our head, at our fingertips, and now you know. And as G.I. Joe said many years ago, knowing is half the battle. Now you know. The battle's won. It's just up to you to make a decision and decide to give yourself permission to invite. So that leads us to that point, invite. What do you say? I already role played it earlier. Did you pay attention to that invite that I gave you just a few minutes ago? I said it again, but we teach you how to invite. And less is more. Just remember that. Less is more. You don't need to explain why Dr. Wallach's ingredient lists and formulas and protocols for all the diseases and animals that he overcame and conquered. You don't need to explain all that science. It's overwhelming. It's killjoy. So when you do that, you turn yourself into an expert, and man, you're going to get barraged with questions you won't have answers to. So don't play that game. Don't play that game. Remember what I said earlier. Just remember this. It's not the product quality that matters. It's like, duh. Obviously, our products are great, or we wouldn't be in business for 20 years. Obviously, we're doing something special based on what Dr. Wong proved. So those things are givens. Just introduce people to individuals that have the types of results that you want here in the Longevity family. Let somebody else be the expert for you. Let somebody else show this information and dispel all of the objections that possibly exist in people's minds. But when you learn that invite, the way I just role played and keeping it simple, not talking about longevity or getting into details on the products, make it about relationship. When you meet my friend Joel, you'll know why my life has been so dramatically improved. And that's the sound of hope to people. They're like, okay, now you understand it's not what you know, it's who you know. Who you know is way more powerful. I don't know what by fold, but many, 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 many fold over what you'll ever know. We're going to know very little, but your asset is who you know. So just be a great connector. My lesson on the invite. And then plug in. How about a conference call tomorrow? I'm going to do a conference call at 8 a.m. sharp. Like, don't be late sharp. 8 a.m. That call kicks off in the morning. It's what we call the blitz call. And that blitz call is powerful. It's mindset training. It is hope. It is experience. It's an interview with other people that have been successful. And you're going to learn tips and things from those individuals that have already walked a great path that you can glean information from and apply tomorrow. So if you want that number, I'll just say it online. It's 857-232-0155. If you're internationally, the international code is 1-857-232-0155. It'll ask you to enter your PIN number. That is 355169. This weekend, we're going to do a Super Saturday training where we're going to have experts and people that have been successful and have developed and grown their business that have something to say and to show for it. They're going to be asked to share and to teach and to train and equip on Saturday from 10 to 1:30. That's 3.5 hours. And if you're local, you want to show up. It's actually going to be right here in this hotel. And there's going to be a phenomenal attendance here on Saturday. You're going to want to be here and use the time to invite as many people as you possibly can. And if you're going, oh man, I would love to be there, but I live, in a completely different part of the country, or I don't even live in the country. I'm from New Zealand. Great. We're going to use a Zoom link like this one. And we will broadcast this Super Saturday training all over the world. So wherever you are, get the news out, get the message out right now that everybody you know should be at that Super Saturday training. So that's the good news on what's coming up. That is all for now. And I just want to say again, thank you so much to all of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for tuning in live tonight and joining us from wherever you are. Welcome to the Longevity family. Thanks for making this a priority. We look forward to getting to know you a whole lot better. And for those of you that showed up live tonight in person, thank you for being here as well. It's been a pleasure to spend the evening with you.